Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type yes. Hi, Apple. Long time no see. How are you? Apple is the only person joining. Okay, so we have a second person. So happy Saturday, guys. I hope that you are having a good weekend so far. I know that 12 p.m. is usually lunchtime for you guys. So thank you for joining at this time. I hope that you guys have all had a chance to eat. This is a perfect day for... Can you hear me okay? Hi, Kansai. How are you? So can you guys all hear me? Yep. So today is a perfect day for kimchi and kimchi jan and makgeolli. So I've got why can I not talk today? I hope you guys all eat that later today if you have a chance. So for today's topic, we're going to be talking about eating out, specifically in the West, and we're going to be comparing different situations when eating out in Korea and in the West. And hi, Yunju. And instead of doing vocabulary today, we're going to be learning some useful expressions that you can use in restaurants in an English-speaking setting. So before we get started on that, we're going to do a little bit of a discussion just to see what you guys have experienced with foreign restaurants or restaurants in the West. So my first question is, we're just going to start with a discussion. Have you ever eaten in a restaurant in a foreign country? What differences did you notice in things like the atmosphere, the menu, the service? So if you've eaten in a restaurant in Itaewon, you cannot say, yes, I've eaten in a foreign restaurant. So have you eaten in a restaurant in a foreign country? So I want to hear about your experiences, because I think there are a lot of differences between eating out in Korea and eating out in foreign countries. So Unju has. So Unju, can you tell us if you noticed any differences between foreign restaurants and Korean restaurants? Maybe about like the decor or the service or the food? Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So I'm sure all of you guys have been to another country before and have experienced a different restaurant setting. So while I'm waiting for your answers, I'll tell you guys some things that I've noticed just between Korea and restaurants in the West. So when I first came to Korea, I was really shocked that you could push a buzzer at your table to get service. I think this is so amazing. And I was also quite shocked when I asked my Korean friends, okay, how can I get the waiter's attention? And they told me that I should shout, 저기요! And I couldn't do it. I felt so embarrassed about it because I guess we would never, ever shout at a waiter in the West. So if we are trying to get the attention of a waiter in the West, usually we will just try to make eye contact. So it can take a long time to find a waiter who is making eye contact with you as well. But that's the kind of polite way of getting attention. So Apple says, when you eat food in New Zealand, the food comes out slowly and others eat slowly. You can eat slowly. So yeah, in other cultures, I guess the eating is a lot like of a slower process. So in Korea, I'm always so shocked that when I finish a meal, suddenly the people around me will say, okay, let's go. Usually in the West, we eat more slowly, and then we kind of wait and talk and digest our food before we leave a restaurant. So yeah, in other countries, you also have to tip, very important. Hyunju, you couldn't enjoy Mongolian food. They were so exotic. I also felt the same. When I was in Mongolia last year, I really struggled with the food because I just found that there was so much meat. So after 2 days, I said to my tour guide, I'm a vegetarian. And she said, but you ate meat yesterday, Kiva. And yeah, but now I'm a vegetarian because I just couldn't. Like even for breakfast, they were eating meat and it was just too much for me. And so Unju says that you've been to a Vietnamese restaurant and you couldn't understand the menu. So yeah, it can be terrifying if you do not understand the menu in a restaurant. So I think it's really good that in Korea, often there are translations and also there are photos. When I first came to Korea, I was quite adventurous and I went to a samgyeopsal restaurant and I thought, okay, everything is very similar. And I ordered something, I didn't know what it was. And it came to the table, and my friend and I were looking at each other. We were so confused. What is this in front of us? I'd never seen anything like it. And it was pig skin. I was so shocked. When I saw it, I just had no idea what it could be. So I had to translate on my phone. And I was like, oh my God, it's pig skin. So yeah, it can be really tricky if you don't actually know what you're ordering. Has anyone experienced any other differences in kind of like restaurants in Korea and restaurants in the West? Anytime I try to say West and restaurants together, my tongue is like blue. Okay, so any other differences? What about on the menu or maybe side dishes? Everyone is very quiet today. Maybe everyone is eating their lunch while watching. So another difference, I guess, is in the West, our menus are huge. So I actually really like going to a Korean restaurant because usually they specialize in like one or two different dishes. Whereas if you go to a restaurant in the West, the menu could be maybe 10 pages long and there are so many different sections. So main courses, appetizers or starters, dessert. So there's almost too much choice. Whereas I think in Korea, they specialize with one particular kind of food and therefore the ingredients are very fresh. Oh, Hansei, so you're on a fast due to your medical condition. I'm so sorry. So yeah, this mightn't be the best thing to be talking about. Kathleen, so many potatoes in Europe. Yeah, that's very true. Especially in Ireland, where I'm from, we eat potatoes a lot. So instead of eating rice, we actually eat potatoes. Unju, very good. There are no side dishes. So this is one of the reasons I can't leave Korea, because I love the fact that there are unlimited side dishes. So if we want to get side dishes in a restaurant, we have to pay for them. Yeah, so Hyunju, French people eat their meals for as long as 2 hours. Yeah, I think it's kind of more of like eating in Europe is a very social thing. So we spend a lot of time at a restaurant just talking. After we eat, we'll maybe have a few drinks. And usually in Europe, we eat later at night. So especially in countries like France and Spain, they often eat at like 9 o'clock at night. So their lunch is later, their dinner is later. So I'm still trying to adjust to like the Korean schedule of eating lunch at 12 p.m. because that feels very early for me. So yes, some of you guys mentioned tipping. So in the West, it's really important to tip, especially in North America. So in the USA and Canada. So it's normal to give 15 to 20% as a tip. Which is something in Europe we can choose if we want to tip or not, which I think is a good system, because often in the US, I've had really bad restaurant experiences and you still have to tip. So even if there's a problem with your food, you still must give a tip. So I think that the European style is a little bit better, where you can choose if you want to tip, if you feel that the service was really great or the food was really great. Another thing that I was very shocked about when I came to Korea was the little drawer on the side of the table with cutlery. So I was asking the waiter, like, or the server, oh, can I please get chopsticks? And then she pointed at this drawer. So I think that's really different. We don't have that in the West. So Unju, if they eat at night, when do they sleep? So in the UK, we eat a little bit earlier, but in mainland Europe, for example, France, Spain, Italy, they eat later. And then I guess they go to bed maybe like 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. But even on weeknights in these kind of countries, you will see people just like on the streets socializing. So I guess it's a very kind of, especially in summer, there's like an outdoor kind of vibe in Europe. Hi, Bob. Okay. And so Western countries have more options for vegetarian and vegan. Yeah, and say that's definitely true. So a lot of my friends who are vegetarian or vegan struggle here because they go to a restaurant and they say, okay, I can't eat meat. And the server will say, yeah, pork isn't meat. And my friend will say, yes, it is. It is from a pig. But I think meat is so common in Korea, and you have to try harder to find a vegetarian restaurant. Okay, so there are a lot of differences, yeah, in how we order, the menu, the restaurant setting. I also think that in traditional Korean restaurants, the atmosphere and the decor is more plain. So usually it's like a wooden table and um, I guess, yeah, like a lot less decoration than you will often find in Western restaurants. So there are so many differences. Okay, my second question is, when eating out with friends in Korea, who usually pays? So, for example, if you are going out, not for a special occasion, but maybe just like, okay, it's a Saturday, you're meeting your friends. In this situation, who would usually pay for the meal? So this is another difference that I noticed between the West and Korea. Um, and so Kathleen says, we go Dutch pay. Okay. So you can say Dutch pay, or you can also say, more commonly, we would say we split the bill. So you can say Dutch pay, but we split the bill is more common. Split the piece. I haven't heard that Han say, but you can say split the bill or split the check. Mm-hmm. Okay, so moms, dads often pay. Okay. Because I was quite surprised because when I worked previously in Cheongdam, which is obviously a very expensive area in Seoul, and when I went for lunch with my students, and I would say to them, okay, let's do it the Western way, let's split the bill. And one student would always offer to pay exactly, Hyunju. So one student would say, Kiva, my salary is higher than yours, so I will pay. So I was so shocked. Obviously, it was nice of this person to offer to pay, but I was really, really surprised because we would never really, like in the West, that I know that that person was saying it in a very nice way, but in the West, we would never really compare salaries in that way because we never assume somebody's salary. And it also might make the other person feel a little bit insecure or hurt if someone says, my salary is higher than your salary. So I've been in a few situations like that, and I've now gotten used to it, where Korean friends will say, oh, I will pay because I'm richer, or I will pay because my salary is higher. So it's kind of interesting. Okay. So yeah, in the West, it's quite different because if we are in a smaller group, for example, just me and one friend, usually we will say we will take it in turns. Hi, Kona. So take it in turns means I pay the first time, you pay the next time. So if you meet one of your friends very regularly, then usually you just take it in turns. So I'll say, oh, you got it last time, I'll pay this time. And in bigger groups, it's a little bit different. So Kona says, when I meet my friends for someone's birthday, the birthday girl pays? Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. Because in the West, if it's someone's birthday, usually the other people who are eating will chip in. And I hope you guys remember from last week, if you joined, what chip in means. So chip in means you all contribute a little bit of money to pay together. So the birthday girl or birthday boy will never pay for their own meal. It's kind of considered rude. Okay, so Hansai says your friends usually pay because you get a social welfare check. So yeah, if in the West, if you are maybe experiencing some kind of financial hardship, or if you've lost your job, your friend may say in a polite way, I'll get it this time. But we try not to emphasize the fact that it's because that person is having a financial difficulty. So we'll just say, oh, this is my treat. We'll just casually say something like that. So Kona, you give presents. We also give presents on someone's birthday, but we will also, if we are going for a group meal, we will pay for their meal. So in the West, usually in smaller groups, we take it in turns. If there is a bigger group, we split the bill. So it kind of depends who we are with. But the only time really we would offer to pay for someone else is if we got a bonus at work, for example. So we've just gotten a lot of money and we say, okay, I just got paid, I will treat you. But it's not really that common because people prefer to split the bill. And I still feel quite uncomfortable, even if I go for like a work lunch and my boss pays for the lunch. I feel a little bit uncomfortable because we are very used to splitting the bill in the West. But it's really nice that Korean people are so generous. Okay, and my next question is, have you ever complained about the food or service in a restaurant? So if I say the service, I mean that maybe the waiter came too slowly, for example, or the waiter was rude to you, something like this. So have you ever complained about the quality of the food or the service in Korea or in another country? Okay, so Kona says on someone's first birthday, the person's parents pay, of course, yeah. So have you guys ever complained? I'm curious. There's a mosquito here. So I think this is a cultural thing. In some countries, people complain a lot. In other countries, people don't really like complaining. So I'm curious about what it's like in Korea because I've never seen somebody complaining about food or service in Korea. Okay, so Apple says he's never complained. Apple, what about in New Zealand? And Bob said, I complained about the food and service to the superior. So superior, you'd probably say manager. So often we complain first to the waiter or server, but if we think it's really bad, we'll say, can I speak to the manager? Mm-hmm. Okay, anyone else? I think in the USA, complaining is totally normal because they have a very high standard of what they expect in terms of quality. So if I go to a restaurant with my American friends or American family, I'm quite kind of shocked by how much they complain if there is a small issue with the food or the service because they have very high expectations. In the West, we don't really complain so much, but if there is a big problem, we will complain. But in Ireland, I think people feel a little bit uncomfortable complaining because they don't really like confrontation. So my mom, I remember she found a snail in her food, a snail living in her food. We were at a really nice hotel and she ordered pasta and there was a snail crawling through it. And she said, should I complain? Yes, you should complain. There is an animal inside your food. So it depends on the culture and the person. So Hyunju says, my noodle had a thread of hair and the cashier refunded me. So if you can just say a hair. In this situation, hair is countable. So that's good. So Hyunju, I'm curious, was that in Korea or was that in a foreign country? So Kona says, I often see complainers and gapchil, what is gapchil, is a serious problem these days. So I'm curious. So Hansei, I often have to complain they didn't offer for allergic foods. So you can say they didn't cater to allergies, to people with allergies. So cater to means like adjust to or offer a service to. So they didn't cater to people with allergies in Korea. Okay, so Hyunju, that's great. You were refunded. So Unju says there was a bug in my salad. Yeah, I think this can happen with food. Yeah, especially with salad. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit different I've never complained in Korea about food or about service the service is usually very fast in Korea, so I haven't really had any issue to complain. So the customer considers him or herself as a king. Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I really hate this situation. So in the West, one of the most rude things you can do is do this to a waiter or a waitress. So clicking your fingers to get attention. So this is one of my, I would say, pet peeve. So pet peeve is something that really annoys you. So if I am with someone and they did this to the waiter, I would probably leave the restaurant. I would be very embarrassed. So I think that would be an example of gapchil. Am I using that in the correct way, Kuna? So yeah, usually in the West, because restaurant reviews are so important, like so many people put reviews on websites like Foursquare, TripAdvisor. So a restaurant knows that people may not come to their restaurant if it has a bad review. Even just one bad review can totally ruin a restaurant. So reviews are really, really, really important. So usually in the West, if you complain, they will give you it for free. So if they give you it for free, they will say it's on the house. So it's on the house means the restaurant will pay. And if it's, so for example, maybe you order a drink and it doesn't really taste very good, they will give you another one. And then they'll say it's on the house. If you order food and it's not cooked properly, they will cook it again for you, but they will also take it off your bill so you don't have to pay for it. So Hansei says, I've often complained they are rude to me as a person with disabilities. Oh, that's really, yeah, I don't know if that happened in Korea or in the West, but there are very strict rules about that in the West. A kind of restaurant nightclub where I went to university was totally closed down because they didn't have wheelchair facilities. So that's a big deal in the West. Kona, recently an apartment guard killed himself as he suffered from a resident's gapchil. Oh my gosh, wow. So yeah, it's really serious. So you have to be very, very careful about how you treat others. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of you guys haven't complained from the sounds of it. I've never complained in Korea. I've complained in a couple of other countries, but I only really complain if it's really bad. So if my food is cold, usually I will just tolerate it. But if it's inedible, so inedible means you cannot eat it. So I would then complain. Okay. So we are going to go on to some expressions that you can use when you are in a restaurant situation. So usually we study a little bit of vocabulary, but this time we're going to be doing a little bit of functional language. So I'm going to tell you guys a request, and you guys should tell me how you think you can make that request in a restaurant. Okay, in English. So Bob says, is it okay to bring a pet? It depends. So a lot of restaurants are becoming what we say pet friendly. So pet friendly means that they will allow you to bring your dog or cat. And there are actually, even in Itaewon, in Korea, there are a lot of pet friendly restaurants these days because they know that a lot of people want to bring their cat or dog. And so they allow that and give free food and so on. So I know that even in Itaewon, a lot of places do that, but it depends on the restaurant's policy. And some restaurants I've heard in the US are starting to ban children because a lot of adults and I guess like younger people in their 20s don't like going to a restaurant if there is a child, you know, crying at the table next to them. So I've heard of some restaurants who are banning younger children, but it depends on the restaurant's policy. Yeah, so capchil is abusing your power, such as a consumer or employer. Okay. So if you go to the United States, you can bring your pet to a restaurant or hotel, can you? Okay. So I think, yeah, it depends. So when I say the West, it means like countries like America, Canada, Europe, Australia. So I think it depends on the country. But more and more countries are trying to push for pet-friendly restaurants. Okay, so my first expression I'm going to teach, number one, you enter a restaurant and you would like to have a table for yourself and three friends. So, what can you say to the waiter or server if you don't have a reservation and you want to get a table for you and three friends? What would you say to the waiter? So, just write your sentence in the chat bar. Okay, so in Korea, lots of restaurants don't allow for pets, even service guide dogs for blind people. Wow, okay. Yeah, I think in the West, there's a big push towards like political correctness. And so a party of three. So you plus three friends, Bob. Okay. So a party, so you could say a party of four, but if I say I have a party of, it's quite formal. So if you are going to maybe a Michelin star restaurant, you'll maybe say, I have a party of four. Kathleen, table for four. What would you say before table for four? Because if you just say table for four, it might sound a little bit rude and direct. So how can you put this into a request? Hyunju, you could say three companions, but companions is kind of an old-fashioned word in English. We don't really use it so much anymore in speaking. So Kathleen has got it almost correct. So we are a group of four. You could say that, Kona. The most common way to say it would be okay, I would like to have a table for four, please. Very good. And we would put a before table. So you could say, I would like to have a table for four, please. Or you could say, could we get a table for four, please? So could is a little bit more formal than can. You could also say we'd like a table for four. Very good. So there are a few different ways that we would say this, but usually a table for four would be the most natural. I've heard some people saying, I think as a direct translation from Korean or from other languages, sometimes I hear people saying we are four. This is not, this would not be natural. But you could say, I would like to have a table for four. This would be the most formal. Could I have a table for four, please? Can I have a table for four, please? Okay, good. And Han say, yeah, you could definitely say that. So I need a table for four people, specifically accessible for a wheelchair. Very good. Okay, so could is a little bit more polite than can. Okay, so next one. There is no water on the table. You would like the waiter to bring a jug for you and your friends to share. So in Korea, sometimes there is like, Westerners always laugh because the bottle at the Korean table is so small for water. So if you have a table of like 10 people, there'll be this little bottle of water. So often Westerners have to keep ordering more and more water at a Korean table. Usually when you go to a table in the West, there is no water there already. So you will have to ask for it. So there's a specific expression we can use. You could say, can I have a jug of water? Yeah, you can definitely say that, Bob. But if you want to emphasize that you want to have enough water for every member at your table, there is an expression that we often use. Because a jug of water might only be enough for like three people. But perhaps you are at a bigger table and you need more water. You could say, please bring us water. Yeah. There's kind of a more specific phrase that we would use if we want it for everyone. So Apple, if I say, please give me some water, they will probably only bring a glass of water to you. They won't bring it to your friends. We are dying of thirst. You could say that. Can I have some water? So again, Kathleen, if I say, can I have some water? They'll maybe only bring water over for you. So the best way, you may not have heard this expression before, is in English, usually we say, can or could we get some water for the table, please? And say, yeah, you could say, could you bring water for us? But if we want to emphasize that we want enough for the table, we would say water for the table. So in that situation, if the waiter sees that there are four people at the table, the waiter will probably bring enough for a large glass each or two large glasses each. if the waiter sees that there is a big party with maybe 8 people at the table, they will bring 3 jugs of water and enough glasses. So if you want to emphasize that you're looking for enough water for everyone and that you want glasses for each person, we would then say, could you get us some water for the table, or can we get some water for the table, please? Is that okay? Some restaurants, if they are very expensive, they will say, we don't serve tap water. So we would call this tap water. Yep. So in that case, then you will have to order separate bottles for the table. Yeah. So water for the table. Okay. So my third one. The waiter comes and asks if you are ready to order, but you need more time. So this happens a lot in Western restaurants because the menu is so big. So it takes us quite a long time for everyone to decide what they want to eat. And of course, you don't want to get food envy. So food envy is where your friend orders something and it looks better than yours and you get jealous. So we are very careful about what we order in the West because we don't want to get food envy. So we spend a lot of time deciding what to eat. So if the waiter comes over and says, are you ready to order? But you're not ready yet, you need more time. What do you think you would say in this situation to the waiter? Could you give me some time to order? So Apple, we usually try to avoid saying me because it can sound a little bit selfish if you're in a group. So you could say, could you give us some more time? So you could say, could you give us some more time? And we usually add please at the end. Let us call you if we're ready. You could say this. We would say, we'll not call you because we never call. Call means to shout someone's name. So we could say like, we'll let you know when we're ready. Okay, very good. So you could say, could you give us some more time, please? We'll let you know when we're ready. Could you give us some more time to choose? We haven't decided yet. Very good. You can also use this. Or you can just say something like, could you give us another moment, please? And we have some moments. So usually we would just say another moment, Bob. So another moment just means it's a nice way of saying, like, we will make eye contact with you when we are ready. So usually we would say, could you give us a little more time? Or we haven't decided yet. Could you give us another moment, please? And then when we are ready, we'll kind of try to make eye contact again with the waiter or the server. Okay, very good. Okay, so this question is going to make me hungry. So hold on a moment. Hold on a moment, Hansei, is a little bit too direct because hold on is an imperative. It's a command. And also hold on is a phrasal verb, so it's quite informal. So if you say hold on a moment, it can sound a little bit too direct. So it's better to say, could you give us a moment? Can you give us a moment? Wait a minute. Again, Apple is a little bit too direct. We avoid using these imperative command verbs when we are in a restaurant situation. So we try to use polite requests such as can you or could you? Okay. So my third one is you have decided to order a steak. The waiter asks, how would you like it done? So often the waiter will say, how would you like it done? Or how would you like it cooked? So what would you say in this situation? So in the West, we kind of think that the way you order your steak says a lot about you. So be very careful with how you answer this one. So yeah, so you could say, so Hyunji, make it rare. So you could just say rare, please. Medium rare, please, Kona. Apple, well done. Who eats their steak? Well done. So a lot of people, so you could say well done. A lot of people and a lot of waiters get very offended if someone asks for it well done. Chefs hate this because they consider it like not treating the cow well. Yeah, so you can say, I prefer well done, please, well done. I'd like my steak a medium rare. So Bob, you don't need to say so I'd like my steak medium rare. But usually we just give a short answer. So the highest one is well done. So Apple's favorite. What's after well done? What's the next level down? Does anyone know? So I think we have different grades. Like we have 6 different expressions. Medium. So usually we would say medium well. So medium well is between medium and well done. And then after that, what would we say? So we can also say medium. And then we can say medium rare. So medium rare is my favorite. And then rare. Does anyone know what is after rare? So rare is just a tiny bit cooked, but there's one that's even more extreme than rare, and it's the name of a color. Does anyone know what it is? Raw, we don't say raw. Blue, very good. We would just say blue. Well done, Kathleen. The blue means like raw. But we try to avoid saying raw in English because it kind of has a negative connotation. So we wouldn't really say raw fish, for example. We would try to just say sashimi. So we actually say blue, strangely, not red. You would think it would be red, but we say blue. Okay, so next question. The steak comes with red wine sauce. So if I say it comes with red wine sauce, it means on the menu, it says steak with red wine sauce. But you're not sure if you will like. So how can a steak be blue? It just means like, I guess, totally uncooked. So I think it has like a blue shimmer in this instance. So I think that's why it's called blue. So the steak, so on the menu it says steak with red wine sauce, but you're not sure if you will like the sauce, but you still want to try the sauce. What would you say in this situation? So you don't want the sauce to be on top of your steak, but you still want to be able to try the sauce. So how would you request this in English? Let's see if I can find a photo of blue steak. So yeah, I'm just searching Kona, and blue just means like you just cook it a little bit on both sides, but it still looks red. So I don't know why. It comes from the French bleu, but I don't know why. Okay. I will not eat the sauce. So Apple, if I say I will not eat the sauce, it means you don't want the sauce to be on your plate. So the best way would be, as Kathleen said, so can I have it on the side? You could ask for a sample unju, but usually we would say on the side, and they would put it inside a little jug. So you would say, can or could I get the sauce on the side, please? Or you could also use have. Can or could I have the sauce on the side, please? Hyunju, let me deal with the sauce would sound probably a little bit strange, because if you deal with something, we usually deal with a problem. We don't really deal with food. So you would say, can I get the sauce on the side, please? Okay, so next one. You need to go to the toilet, but you can't see it anywhere. You would like to know where it is. What would you say to the waiter or server in this situation? This is kind of a trick question. It maybe seems very simple, but the wording is very important. Okay, so Apple, you could say where is the bathroom? Mm-hmm. Okay, where is the ladies' room? Where can I wash my hands? Could you tell me where the restroom is? Okay, very good. So usually in a restaurant situation, we try to avoid using the word toilet because toilet can be considered not rude, but like it's not a very nice image. So usually we try to say restroom, very good, or you can say ladies room or gents room, just lady. Yeah, we would say the lady. So if you're a lady, can you tell me where the ladies room is? So you can say bathroom, but restroom is a little bit more formal. So if you are in a nice restaurant, you'll probably ask for the restroom. So where are the restrooms, for example? Okay, good. Just two more left. So Hansai talked a little bit earlier about allergies. So a lot of people are allergic to certain food. So that can be tricky in a restaurant. So you want to order a cheesecake for dessert. You're worried it may have nuts in it and you have an allergy to nuts. So how would you express this to the server? How would you check if there are nuts in your cheesecake that you want to order? So this is really useful if you have any kind of allergy or any food that you don't eat. And I'm curious if any of you guys have any allergies to anything. So my father hates cheese. He doesn't have an allergy, but he just hates it. But if he goes to a restaurant and he says, okay, I want this burger, but I don't want any cheese on it, please, they will just ignore him and they will still give him cheese. So usually he pretends he has an allergy because then they will take it more serious and they will remember not to put cheese on it. So you can say, is the cake nuts free? Nuts free sounds a little bit strange because usually we have the singular before free, Kona, like is it dairy free, for example? But they would definitely know what you mean. Would you hold the nuts in my food? So would you hold the nuts means please take the nuts out. But usually in a restaurant, desserts are already pre-made. So it's almost impossible for them to remove the nuts. So I have an allergic. So Bob, allergic is an adjective. An allergy is the noun. So you can say I have an allergy to nuts or I am allergic to nuts. Very good. So I have an allergy to nuts. I am allergic to nuts. Okay. You could say, please do not put any nuts if there is. Yeah, but again, because it's a dessert, it would be difficult. So if, for example, there is a burger and you don't want cheese, it's easier to say, oh, please don't put any cheese on the burger. But with a dessert, because if you're ordering some kind of cheesecake, it's probably already made in the kitchen. So it would be difficult in this situation to ask them to like take the nuts out. Please keep the cake without nuts in mind. So Sanju, if I say in mind, it means thinking about nuts. So that would sound a little bit unnatural. So you can say, can I check if it contains nuts? You can say, so the most natural ways to say it would be, does this contain nuts? I'm allergic. Or you can say allergic to them. So usually for short, we just say I'm allergic because the listener can understand from the previous sentence that you mean nuts. So for example, maybe you're ordering, a lot of people are allergic to seafood. So if you are ordering a pasta and you're allergic to shrimp, does this contain shrimp? I'm allergic. Could you make a cake without nuts? So what I'm trying to say here is that usually if you order a slice of cake at a restaurant, the cake has already been made in the morning. So they don't make it when you order it. They've already made it. So it would be impossible for them just to make a cake without nuts for you because a cake takes hours to make. So you wouldn't say like, can you please take the nuts out or can you make this without nuts? Because it's a dessert. So you could say, please bring us nut-free desserts. Yeah, or you could say, yeah, does this contain nuts? I'm allergic. Okay. Do any of you guys have any food allergies? So I don't have any allergies, luckily, but I have a lot of intolerances. So intolerances are a little bit less severe than allergies. So if you have an allergy, then you can get a very severe, serious reaction. If you have an intolerance, maybe it will give you a sore stomach, or you will feel bloated, or so. I have a lot of food intolerances, but no allergies. Does anyone have any allergies? Recently, I was on an airplane and someone was allergic to nuts. And some nut allergies are so serious, you can die. So the airplane couldn't serve any food to any person on the flight with nuts. And they had to make an announcement, please do not open any nuts on this airplane, because even like just spreading it through the air could potentially make this person very sick. So so Bob, you are allergic. I am an allergy to beautiful girl. That's not a good allergy to have. So Hans say milk, egg, shellfish, ham, those are quite common allergies. So Kona, I have an intolerance to hunger. She has an intolerance to dairy products. So a lot of people are intolerant to dairy products. Very good. Okay, and okay, just one more. So the food was outstanding, really, really, really amazing. You want the waiter to tell the chef that you were very impressed with the food. So what would you say to the waiter in this situation? Oh, wow, you had a shock from eating grilled eggs? Wow, you need to be very careful, Hansai. You guys are funny. Okay, so if you want to tell the chef that this was a really, really, really amazing meal, what would you say? I don't think I have. I've done this once in Korea because there is a Moroccan restaurant near my house and the food is really, really, really amazing. And I went there and I really had one of the best meals in my life. So I said to the waiter, I used this expression to show this meal was really, really, really amazing. So you could say, Unju, please send a message to the chef that the food was wonderful. We would probably say, please give a message, because send a message means like send a text message. So you could say, please give a message to the chef that the food was wonderful, but we have a shorter way of saying this in English. Oh, very good. So Kona, my compliments to the chef. So you can say, please send my compliments to the chef. Or for short, we can also say my compliments to the chef. So if we're in a very nice restaurant, like a Michelin star restaurant, we'll probably use a more formal one. Please send my compliments to the chef. If you're in a slightly less fancy restaurant, my compliments to the chef. Hyunju, you could say, so we wouldn't really say the cuisine was really fantastic. Cuisine means like Italian food, Mexican food, like very general. So you could just say the food was really fantastic. But if I say this to the waiter, they may not tell the chef. They will just say, oh, you're welcome, because quite a lot of people say this. But if we want to let the waiter know that we want the chef to know, you could also say thank you to the chef. Yep, Hyunji, you could say, could you tell the chef that this food is totally out of this world? Very good. The most common way to say it would be, please send my compliments to the chef. Okay. Hansi, I don't think anyone was really trying to joke about allergies. I know that they are very, very serious. Okay. So very good. So guys, for the last 5 or so minutes, we are going to do Family Feud. So if you guys joined when I was talking about family ties a few weeks ago, you guys will remember the format of this quiz game. So Family Feud is an American quiz. It is where they do a survey to members of the public. And they say, okay, what is your answer to this question? And then you have to guess the most popular answer from the American public. So we will do an example. These are all based on food and restaurants. So I'm going to show you guys an example before we do the real thing. So this TV show asked members of the American public, name something you might eat with a hamburger. So the public had to write down what they would eat with a hamburger. What side dish would they eat at the same time Okay, so what do you guys think? What do you think people would eat with a hamburger? You only have one chance to answer. You can't write many comments, just one. So Unju says French fries, Coke, chips, cola, fried potato. So 100 members of the American public answered this question. 60 people said French fries. So in this situation, Kona and Unju would get the highest points. So you guys would get 5 points. Strangely, number 2, I was so shocked about this, was soup. So nobody answered soup. So 12 people out of 100 said soup. Number 3 was salad. 9 people said salad. So I don't think any of you guys said salad. Okay, next one is onion rings. So like battered onions. 5 people said that. And the final one was tater tots, which is small fried potatoes. So I think, Hansei, fried potato, I think that's what you were getting at. You would get 1 point. So if you guess the most popular answer, you get 5 points. Second most popular answer, 4. Third most popular answer, 3, 2, 1, and so on. Do you guys understand the game? So you have to think about what you think the American public would answer to each question. If you understand, say yes or type Y. You guys will learn some kind of useful expressions when we are doing this. Okay? Okay, very good. So thinking out of the box is not good for this game. Okay, so my first one, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. Why would you send back food when eating at a restaurant? So send back means tell the waiter, this food is not good. Please bring it back to the kitchen. So why would you send back food when eating at a restaurant? And the winner, when coronavirus is over, I will treat you to lunch if you come to the university. So 30 seconds, you can only answer once. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, time is up. Okay, so number 1, the food is cold. Okay, so who said cold? Kona, 5 points for Kona. Okay, next, the food isn't cooked properly. So 4 points for Kathleen. Apple, you can say the food is burnt, so 4 points for Apple as well. Number 3, the food has a strange object in it. So Hyunji, Hansei, and Unju, 3 points. Number 4, the food tastes bland, so boring. Nobody said that. The order is wrong. So Bob, not my food, you get 1 point, okay? So Kona is in the lead with 5 points. Oh, I need to take a record of this, 1 second. So Kona has 5. And Kathleen and Apple have 4. Okay, and some of you guys have 3. Okay. You guys may need to keep a record of your points in case I forget. Okay, so next one. If you are footing the bill on a date at a restaurant, so foot the bill means you are paying. So if you are footing the bill on a date at a restaurant, typo, one thing you hope that your date doesn't order. So if you are on a date and you say, I'm paying, what is one thing that maybe is very expensive and you hope, please don't order this, please don't order this? So this is kind of a funny question. Okay, so I'll give you guys 20 seconds more because we have to finish up. Oh, some good answers here. Okay, 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we have, oh, Hansei was the only one who got number 1. So number 1 was caviar. Number 2 was wine or champagne. Number 3 was steak, and number 4 was lobster. So 5 points, top points for Hansei and wine and champagne. So Kona and Kathleen, you guys get 4 points. And steak, so Hyunji, you get 3 points. And Unju also gets 3 points. And Apple gets 1 point. Okay. So final question. So Hyunju, that was a little bit maybe too general. So this is my last question because we're running out of time. Okay, name a food that you become very thirsty while eating. So when you're eating this food, you might need to drink a lot of water. So 30 seconds. Okay, so a lot of you guys are saying like French fries, spaghetti. Okay. So I guess a lot of salty food. Kanjang. This is the hardest word for me to say in Korean, kanjang kejang. So like, I think that's like soy marinated crab. Salty food. So salty food, Bob, is maybe a little bit too general. 5 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the answers were, I don't think any of you guys got the top answer. So the first one was potato chips. So Hyunji, so close, but so far. Number 2, popcorn. Number 3, peanuts. Number 4, pizza. Number 5, crackers. So nobody got in the top 5. Oh my gosh. Okay, so please tell me your scores. Write your scores in because I forgot to record number 2. And the winner will be taken out for lunch by me at Tufts University if you come to the university after the coronavirus. I promise I won't bring you to the Gyosu Shikdang. I'll bring you to a nice place. Okay, so Apple got 5. What about the rest of you? Kona 9. Woo! I think some of you guys also got, I think Hansei got a high score. Hyunji got a high score. Oh, Hyunju won. So sad. You guys need to watch Family Feuds more. Family Feud on American TV. You said chips, Unju, did you? Oh, but you can only answer one. So did you mean potato chips? Or so I'll give you the points for that. You can have 5 points for that one. We have to be very careful during the coronavirus. Kona. So I'm not sure who was the winner then. Was it Unju or Kona? Unju, what was your total points if you count 5 for chips? Okay. Oh, so Unju is a winner with 11 points. Okay. So if you come to Cuff sometime in the future, let me know and I will bring you out for lunch. Okay, so guys, you guys all did great. I hope that you learned lots today and that you feel comfortable next time you go to a restaurant in the West with ordering. Have an awesome weekend and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.